South Texas doesn't get talked about the way it deserves to be. Most people picture flat brush country and not much else, and that picture is almost completely wrong. This is a region where the largest desert in North America fades straight into a subtropical river delta, where a single underground aquifer waters 2 million people and a species of blind salamander at the same time, and where scientists are still finding butterfly species nobody had ever documented in the United States before. These are 23 wild geography facts about South Texas that most people, including a lot of native Texans, have never actually heard. Stick around for the last one. It ties the entire region together in a way that's genuinely surprising. If wild, real geography is your thing, subscribe to Wild States Facts before we start. Fact 1. South Texas crams more terrain types into one region than most entire states manage. In a single day's drive, you can go from Limestone Plateau to Subtropical River Delta to Barrier Island Beach. Most people picture South Texas as flat, brown, and uniform. The actual geography barely resembles that stereotype anywhere you actually stop the car. Fact 2. The Rio Grande forms the entire southern border of Texas, running roughly 1,250 miles from El Paso to the Gulf of Mexico. It's also one of the most over-tapped rivers on the continent. So much water gets diverted for agriculture and cities along the way that during dry years, the river can stop flowing entirely before it ever reaches the ocean, vanishing into sand a few miles short of the coast. Fact 3. The Chihuahuan Desert, the largest desert in North America, stretches deep into far west Texas, covering the more than 800,000 acres of Big Bend National Park alone. Rising straight out of that desert floor, the Chisos Mountains climb past 7,800 feet, creating a forested sky island completely surrounded by desert, home to species that exist nowhere else on the continent. Fact 4. Inside Big Bend, the Rio Grande has carved Santa Elena Canyon, roughly 1,500 feet straight down through solid limestone, with walls so close together in places that the strip of visible sky above is only a few feet wide. The canyon wall itself exposes nearly 500 million years of geological history, stacked into a single cliff face. Fact 5. Padre Island runs 113 miles down the South Texas coast, making it the longest barrier island anywhere on Earth. It is separated from the mainland by the Laguna Madre, a lagoon so unusual it is one of only 6 hypersaline lagoons on the entire planet. Fact 6. The Laguna Madre is saltier than the open Gulf right next to it because the shallow lagoon loses far more water to evaporation than it ever gets back from rainfall. Despite that, it supports huge fish populations and more than 80% of the entire continent's wintering redhead ducks, all crowded into one narrow strip of hypersaline water. Fact 7. Edwards Aquifer. Beneath the hill country supplies drinking water to more than 2 million people around San Antonio. At the exact same time, it's the only home on Earth for several endangered species, including blind salamanders that have never seen daylight and exist nowhere else. The drinking water and the rarest ecosystem in the region are, quite literally, the same underground formation. Fact 8. The Tamaulipan thorn scrub once covered close to 20 million acres of South Texas, brush so dense early settlers called parts of it impassable. Conservationists now compare its clearing rate to tropical deforestation, even though what is left supports more bird species per acre than almost anywhere else in the country. Fact 9. The lower Rio Grande Valley sits at the overlap point of 4 separate wildlife corridors, tropical, temperate, arid, and humid Gulf Coast species, all converging in one small stretch of farmland. More than 500 bird species have been recorded here, the highest total anywhere in the continental United States. Fact 10. The Balcones Escarpment, an ancient fault line running through San Antonio and Austin, marks where the limestone plateau drops abruptly toward the coastal plain. Cross it and the rainfall, soil, and wildlife change so sharply that you can feel the difference within a few miles, not a few counties. Fact 11. The Devil's River in Val Verde County is widely considered the cleanest river in Texas, with almost no agricultural or industrial development anywhere along its length. In some pools, visibility reaches more than 20 feet straight down, clear enough to support the entire known population of the endangered Devil's River minnow. Fact 12. South Padre Island sits directly beneath one of the busiest migratory bird corridors on the continent. After crossing hundreds of miles of open Gulf water with nothing below them, exhausted songbirds hit this island as their first possible landing spot, making it a literal life-or-death checkpoint for millions of birds every single year. Fact 13. The King Ranch covers 825,000 acres, making it larger than the entire state of Rhode Island. Founded in 1853, it operates its own zip code and school district, and its sheer size has accidentally created one of the largest private wildlife sanctuaries in North America, sheltering ocelots and whooping cranes that would otherwise have nowhere left to go. Fact 14. The lower Rio Grande Valley hosts more than 300 butterfly species, close to half of every species recorded in the entire United States. Some of them weren't even known to exist in the country until scientists documented them here for the first time within the last decade. Fact 15. Amistad Reservoir on the Texas and Mexico border is jointly owned and operated by both countries under treaty. Its canyon walls preserve rock art left by the Lower Pecos people more than 4,000 years ago, some of the oldest prehistoric artwork anywhere in North America, sitting above a lake most Americans have never heard of. Fact 16. Fewer than 80 wild ocelots remain north of the Mexican border, surviving in just 2 isolated patches of South Texas thorn scrub. Highway crossings are now one of the biggest threats to the population, meaning a single stretch of road can matter to whether the species survives in this country at all. Fact 17. That same dense brush country forms one of the last potential corridors connecting North American jaguar populations to Mexico. Jaguars roamed all of South Texas well into the early 1900s, and the same thorn scrub ranchers spent a century trying to clear is exactly what would let the species return. Fact 18. Falcon Reservoir, created in 1954, flooded a valley that had been continuously occupied for centuries. During severe droughts, the stone church walls of Guerrero Viejo, a sunken 17th century colonial town, rise back out of the receding water, along with ancient sites that are normally invisible beneath the surface. Fact 19. The original Pecos River High Bridge, completed in 1892, was once the highest railroad bridge in the world, towering 321 feet above the canyon floor. Its 1944 replacement still carries freight trains across that same dizzying gorge today, more than a century after engineers decided crossing it beat going around. Fact 20. The Davis Mountains rise past 8,300 feet in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert, creating another high-elevation sky island. McDonald Observatory sits at the summit, running one of the most productive astronomical research programs on Earth, because the combination of altitude, dry air, and total darkness out here is almost impossible to find anywhere else in the country. Fact 21. The Guadalupe Mountains are the exposed remains of a 400-mile-long fossil reef built by marine life in a shallow tropical sea roughly 265 million years ago. Guadalupe Peak, the highest point in Texas at 8,751 feet, is technically the top of an ancient ocean reef. Fact 22. The limestone soils of the Texas Hill Country are geologically similar to the limestone soils of Tuscany and France's Rhone Valley. That same geology now supports more than 50 wineries, making the Hill Country the second largest wine region in the country, built on the exact rock that also filters the region's drinking water. Fact 23, and the one that ties this whole list together. South Texas sits at the overlap of 2 countries, two continents' climate systems, and two completely different geological worlds, all crossing through the exact same stretch of land. It isn't a region geography just happened to pass through. It's the place where some of the most significant geographic boundaries on the continent collide and never quite settle into anything simple. That's 23 facts that prove South Texas is a lot stranger and a lot more important than its reputation lets on. If one of these completely changed how you think about the region, let us know which one in the comments. And if wild, real geography is your thing, subscribe to Wild States Facts. I am covering every state, one wild fact at a time. See you in the next one.